Hey all, Andy here, helping you build a career you love. Happy Thursday. Great to have you with me. Got a great tip today on interviewing. I got more than a tip. I got a few tips. Get in the chat, say hi if you're here with me live. I got a nice little teaching package. Then we're going to go to the Q&A. I just want to say hello before we dive in. Mohit, great to see you. Nadwa Music, T.A. Bragg, Rachel, what's up? Isa, nice to see you again. Anna Yancey, is that how you say it? Word Dog Toronto, Cherry, Baby Girl from Canada, Jason, and everybody else. Welcome aboard. I hope it's sunny where you are. I hope the sun is shining on your career, and you know as long as I'm in your corner, we're never turning the lights on that. So, what's today all about? I want to talk about something that I've been teaching a lot of in my one-to-one coaching sessions, and I know this has always been prevalent. We don't talk about it, you and I don't talk about it so much, but that has to do with when you're interviewing, but you're not really sure what job you're interviewing for. And it's funny because I've got some questions in the Mile Walk Academy system about this recently. I got some questions at my last premium job search coaching program, my boot campers private group session. And over the last couple of weeks, there have been a number of people that I've been helping with this situation. And it can be a very, very good thing. And so, this all started where I got a question from Gisela a couple of weeks ago, and she said, Andy, I'm interviewing with this company, and they kind of asked me to come on in. I'm not really sure what the role is. I don't think they really have one, but they like my background and they want to talk. Maybe there's that. Maybe you are interviewing and there's not a great job description. Maybe you don't even have a job description. I had somebody the other day on Tuesday, just 2 days ago, that I was preparing for an interview he had actually yesterday, and there were two roles that he could have been interviewing for. One that he applied for, and then after he'd gotten into the initial process with the screener and talked to somebody else in HR, they said, you might even be good for this other role. And then the rest of his interviewing process was like this. He wasn't even sure what role he was interviewing for. And this can be very confusing. And then there are informational interviews. Maybe you're talking to somebody at an organization where there's an opportunity to work there, but you're just not sure what that is. That's what I'm going to cover today. And even if you know what the role is, the tips that I'm going to give you are going to be really, really good. So I'm going to break this down for you. I'm going to help you understand what to do, what not to do, how to go through this. And I really thought through the exact steps, whether they were big steps or baby steps in between. So I'm going to break all that down for you today. Now, first thing is, you might hear me say this as an executive recruiter. Two things about this kind of situation. Number one, some of the very best placements we ever made for clients that we supported were because we just said to our client, our customer, hey, you need to talk to this person. This person will be great for your company. We didn't necessarily have an open position that we were searching for, but we had carte blanche to show our clients people we really thought were great. And some wonderful, wonderful placements happen that way, and great marriages between employees and these companies. And then on the other side of the coin, you might hear me say, as an executive recruiter, I always was nervous about recruiting for newly created positions that weren't fully scoped out, because a lot of times companies would start down a path thinking, hey, we'd like to talk to people with these kind of backgrounds or with these kind of skill sets. But essentially what would happen is they would move the goalpost either during the recruitment process and say, yeah, we thought we were looking for that, but we really think we're looking for this. Or even worse, they could potentially hire somebody, and then when the person gets into the process and the company starts to see the situation unfold, they change their mind. You might hear me say a lot, you don't get it until you get into it, right? And the first step you take, you're going to know more than when you were planning. And the second step you're going to take, you're going to know more than when you took the first step. So I just want you to think about this, but these are really great opportunities. But one thing that I want to start with is step one is really something I don't want you to do. And when you get into these discussions and you're not quite sure what you're interviewing for or whether there's an opportunity, there are three things I do not want you to do. Let's just call this step one. Step one is button up. Do not tell them what you've done, meaning all your experiences and all that other stuff. What you can do, maybe all your skills, and what you want. That should say want. Hey, I scratched these cards really fast. But don't tell them what you've done. Don't tell them what you can do. And as I like to say, for the love of all that is holy, do not tell them what you want and why don't you want to do these things. Because when you are talking with somebody and they are considering bringing you into their organization, if you start telling them what you've done and what you can do, the way in which they pull you in and the way that they could possibly deploy you into their organization is going to be limited based on what you share with them you can do. Maybe I need a couple of functions handled, or I've got some challenges, and you could do 10 different things. And you decide to share 8 things about yourself that, while wonderful, are not exactly what I need. And I always say to you, I want you to sell to the gap, right? I have a problem or that I need solved, or an aspiration that I want to attain. I want you as a job candidate to understand what that is, so you can show the employer and discuss how you can help them with what they need most at the moment and in the foreseeable future. So I do not want you to do this. And I want to show you something. The gentleman that I helped prepare on Tuesday for his interview on Wednesday, and he sent me an email this morning, and he got into this process, and I said to him, he said, Andy, there's these 2 roles I'm interviewing for. I really need to crush this. I'm in Virginia. This job's in New York. I'm going to need to move. It's a golden opportunity. It's where I've spent the last 7 years of my career, and I really want to make a good showing. And one of the positions was an individual contributor role, and the other one was for a management role. And then he sent me this email this morning based on what transpired. He said, Andy, the interview went very well. I want you to know you prepared me well. They had asked him some questions, among other things, and I know that there were some stories that he absolutely shared, because we prepared the heck out of his stories. But one of the things at the bottom I really want you to notice is, he says, you were right. She didn't. We were interviewing for. It was not until the very end that she said, I'm very interested in you joining us in a management capacity. And one of the things that I shared with him is, I don't want you to try to sell yourself into a particular role. Take the lead from them. He actually thought he was meeting with the COO, but then that changed at the last minute, which I just discovered this morning, because I always ask people I coach to send me a message and let me know how it went. So, he said the last one was the moneymaker. It sealed the deal. She smiled and responded, I'll be straight. I'm very interested in you joining us, because he was focused on the company in a management capacity. I believe you are ready and will do well. He has not been a manager, and no question, you will receive a call from HR quickly. And then one other thing I want to show you is, after I emailed him back this morning and I said to him, hey, Nee, I actually have a show at 11 and I would love to let them see the email that you sent me. He and I went back and forth over the next hour, and he quoted my email from this morning. And for the love of all, do not tell them what you want when you're in these situations. And he said, my main goal is not necessarily to change careers, when she asked him that question, that third question, but utilize my education and experience in whatever capacity that brings the most value to you and the company name, which I struck out. But I want you to understand why it's so important that you talk. If you're talking with somebody about opportunities to work at their organization, you want to do that based on a couple of things. One is what they need, and 2 is the capacity in which you want to support them and add value. Your skill sets and your experiences will come out, and I'm going to show you how to bring that out in these subsequent steps. So first thing is button up the lips. Step 2 is knowing that you don't have a lot of information, either about what you're interviewing for, or maybe there's multiple roles like Nee was going through, or maybe it's an informational interview, or maybe like Gisela, they said, hey, come on down, let's figure this out. Figuring it out is, first thing on your part is, you need to gather some intelligence to understand what it is that you need help with. And instead of just selling yourself right away, I want you to go through some line of questioning where you're trying to figure out what their goals are. So I want you to go into gathering info mode. What are their goals? Now, depending on your function, you should generally understand what their goals are going in and having a good idea. If you're a salesperson, you know the goal is to generate revenue. If you're a marketer, you know that the goal, ultimately, the loftiest goal, is to increase brand awareness and in turn increase the number of prospects that the company has, so that those prospects can be turned into customers. If you're on the engineering team, maybe it's developing a product cost effectively, right? An effective product that does a number of things, but you're developing it in a cost effective manner. Whatever the case may be, you should understand that. But what sets you apart as a job candidate is it isn't just the fact that you understand the goals, but also what challenges the organization is going through in order to attain those goals. Each company's challenges in achieving their goals can be different, right? Everybody who's on the sales team for any company anywhere in the world, their goal is to generate revenue. But the challenges that they have in doing that might be different. And if you understand the problems, what problems have you had in encountering, or what have you encountered? What problems have you had in trying to attain those goals? What have you tried? What's worked and what hasn't? What this enables you to do is understand what their pain points are. This is sales 101. You want to sell to the gap, and in order to sell to the gap, to solve their problem or help them achieve their aspiration, you need to know what that is. You can make some assumptions going in that their goals are, they have certain types of goals, but what they've encountered in trying to attain those goals is going to be unique to them, right? Every company has a marketing problem. Some people's marketing problem may be they don't know how to run ads. They don't know how to optimize their website for search engine optimization. The challenges can be different. Some companies' problems might be we can't find people with the right skills who understand these functions. And once you know what their issues are, you're going to be in a much better position to actually highlight what you would do, how you would do it, what skills you might be able to bring to the table. But first things first, don't tell them what you can do. Don't tell them what you want or any of that other stuff, and try to get this information. This should come out very, very easily. Remember, you don't know what role you're interviewed for. You don't know what the job description looks like. There isn't one. Okay, so keep that in mind. And what I need is always going to supersede what you have. Now, what most people do is when employers are trying to hire, most of the time, the limited thinking from the employers, they think in terms of their history, they think in terms of people. They say, I have job descriptions, or generally our project managers do this, our accountants do that, our engineers do this. They usually have about this much experience, and so on and so forth. Now, that's how they think. They think in terms of bodies. I don't want you to think I'm the right project manager for you. I'm the right marketer for you. I want you to think in terms of functions. So as you start to identify their goals, their challenges, and so on, I want you to think in terms of what functions, if handled, would help you address those particular goals and challenges and problems and so on. And why do we want to know this? I'm going to give you a little case study from me and my company, and I'll show you exactly what I mean by the difference between people and functions, and why I want you to be focused on functions and not personnel first. Okay, so right now, all y'all know, right? You found me some way, probably online. And maybe you went to YouTube, or maybe you saw one of my LinkedIn videos, or Instagram, or TikTok, or Twitter, or Facebook, or whatever, right? Or maybe you just Googled something, but you didn't Google me. Not likely. You probably Googled how to write a resume or how to advance my career, something like that. And a big part of what we do is I need to create a social media platform that helps market me, and it does a number of things, right? It shows you my techniques, tactics, strategies in helping you achieve your goals, solve your problems, and so on, right? And I put that out there for people to find and hopefully learn from and benefit from. And one of the ways that I do that is I show up every week, just like what we're doing right now. You're in the middle of one of my Thursday live shows. right? And so one of the things that I do is I teach for a bunch of minutes, and that usually becomes a long form video I put on my YouTube channel. And then you ask me some questions, which we're going to do here in a little while. And each one of those can become a video of shorter length that people can benefit from. So somebody, right, from a functional standpoint has to look at that video and understand what the different segments of the program are so that they could what? Create videos, right? That's a video skill, or is it? Or is it knowledge of job searching or career development? Then what happens? Well, I need somebody to edit it. Maybe that's a video skill. I need somebody to maybe add some captions. Maybe they need to type it out, or maybe they could use some tools, right? And not only that, then we have to do something with the video. The next function we have to do is what? We have to load it up we can manually put it on the platforms like LinkedIn or YouTube or wherever, upload it and hit a button, or we could put some attractive social media text. That's copywriting. That's a different function that somebody could do. And then we can automate the loading. That's a tool that we might use that somebody might need to be knowledgeable on software. Then what? Then we need to watch it and engage with the community. I will do some of that. Somebody else will help me with that. That's another skill, right? What's the next skill? Data analytics. Then somebody's got to analyze it and figure out what worked, what didn't. What should we do? Oh, that has to coincide with the themes of what? What we're teaching that month, what we're promoting that quarter, or whatever it might be. I don't know how many that was that I just rattled off, but let's just say that's 12 different functions, right? If I said to you, I'm looking for a social media manager, I might have an idea that a social media manager writes some copy and posts some videos for me, right? Except there were video skills in there were software tool skills in there was analytics skills in there's organizational skills in there, and all that good stuff, right? Somebody's got to be able to load it in our system so that we can trace back to where all this stuff is. There's a ton of different things I'm looking for. Now, all those functions need to be handled. Those are my mediums by which I'm going to attain a goal of what? Creating a bigger community, creating engagement with the community, ultimately helping people find me so that what? Some of those people will turn into customers, right? Okay, 12 different functions. Is that one person, two people, three people, one full-time person, three part-time people? Is it one tool, two tools, three tools? Do you see what I'm saying? Who's tracking with me? Do you see the difference? If you are interviewing with me, you don't have to have all 12 skills. Do you have one? Do you have two? Can you learn one? Can you learn three more? And so on. How are you going to know what to start selling me in the interview without understanding the entire thing? Marketing strategy? Might you know how to do that? Right? Could I turn that over to you? So all of that has to be ascertained in the job interview. Now, I probably, if you're interviewing with me, would give that to you freely. But then again, I know what's going to be more effective in this situation. Most people who are looking to hire individuals for their organizations or team leaders or managers or whatever are not going to be of that mindset. They're not going to be as skilled at understanding this and how to recruit and hire for this. And any of you that have ever read Jim Collins's work, Good to Great, why some companies have exponential growth while other companies just kind of linger along, is that the good to great mentality is that you find the right people, you get them on the bus, and they figure out where to take the bus or how to do all that. That's what I'm talking about. So when I'm open-minded as a business owner or as a hirer, you as a job seeker want to ascertain that information from me so you can do what with it? You can figure out a few other things. And then the other thing that I want you to do is I want you to then transition into a step where you're going to tee up how you're going to tell me and sell yourself, how you're going to tell me what you know and how you're going to tell me how to do what I need to do and how you're going to sell yourself. So I want you to start using expressions like, okay, Andy, you have those 12 things that you need to do. Have you considered, Andy, there are AI tools that are out there now. You could feed that video through and it probably can do that for you in an automated fashion. Have you considered that? No. Have you considered that? Yes. What tools have you considered? Have you thought about, right, hiring somebody right out of school to do whatever? Have you thought about using these new tools that just hit the market? Anything that you can do that in any way, shape, or form bridges your ability to get to the story you want to tell me, which sells you on how you're going to handle my functions. Remember, not a particular role, but the functions I need handled, right? Can be cut up many different ways. So if I'm open-minded enough to be talking to you about something like this, I'm thinking I want to think creatively. You can help me do that. And in turn, you can really benefit yourself because you could be tailoring this to your strengths. So you want to go into a bridge mode where you start asking me questions based on, now that you understand my goals and my problems, and you understand the functions I need to address. You want to ask me now, what have I tried or what have I thought about? Okay, so that's the next step, so that you can then turn to your stories and say, okay, in one or two, I want to give you 2 ways to score points. Once you gather that information, you want to shift to, and here's how I solved that. We had the same problem for my small media company. We had all 12 of those functions that you needed to handle. One of the ways we did that was we used a combination of a full-time person and a whatever, a couple of contractors and these tools. Or if you don't have the experience solving my problems, you can do another thing. Think logically. Hey, if you try this, it might work because. You need to use the word because. You want to insert your rationale because you want to show me or tell me exactly why you think it will work. This is what I call an experience substitute, meaning I haven't done that yet, but it stands to reason that if you try that, it might work. You'll still score the same level of points, because when you start asking me questions like this, I'm going to automatically assume that you have some knowledge of the solution, the function, the skill set, the space, the whatever it is that you're referring to. Okay, so these are ways in which you shift into your storytelling. Do you see how we have siphoned down to the spot you want to get to so you know what to say? So before you start selling yourself, what are you doing? You're gathering intelligence so you know exactly what to say to me that are going to score the most points in the least amount of time. Okay? Who is tracking with me? Who's tracking? I need you to know. I understand that might have looked like it was 4 steps to get to, but it really can happen very quickly. This can happen in minutes, okay? So you want to be able to show me that you either have working knowledge because you've solved that same problem elsewhere or some variation of that issue, challenge, or goal. And then if not, hey, it stands to reason you might have to go through this step, okay? So I want you to make sure that you are siphoning it down to get to what you need to know. Then what I would like you to do is I'd like you to shift into the personnel solutions. Meaning, okay, Andy, you got those 12 functions you want to handle. Here's how I would approach it. This is the most efficient way to allocate resources. So I could actually do a diagnostic for you on what you currently have. I could then, based on that, right, based on your goals, based on the diagnostic, figure out the delta of what it will take to achieve your goals, timeline, or we can put a timeline together to project growth and so on. And here's what I would do. 3 months of just me auditing, evaluating, actually doing the different functions so that I have complete command of those things that I already know. I want to make sure I can tailor them to your business. The other things that I need to learn that should be fairly easy for me to pick up, let me do these first. Then what we'll do is we'll reconvene after 90 days. We'll put a resource plan together for the next year. Here's what my job description looks like. And here are some future variations where are areas that would make economical sense for you to outsource, whether that's a less expensive resource, or maybe you go to Upwork or Fiverr or some staffing firm or whatever, or get a part-time player or a shared whatever. And this is how I would approach it. This is something you can do. Now, you don't need to do this by yourself, okay? Because you could be iterating this through working sessions throughout the interviewing process. Now, I want to give you a couple more tips because I want to give you some key success factors, and then I want to give you a bonus tip of what I would do here. Make sure that you are drilling down. What does this allow you to do? If somebody says to you, "Hey, please write your own job description," should be the greatest music to your ears. Think your favorite song of all time. That should be it. Okay? This is not somebody being lazy. This is somebody giving you an opportunity to shape the way you can provide the most value, and not to mention you probably can tailor it so that you're cherry picking the things that, number one, you enjoy the most, that have the highest value, and then you can work your way out of some of the functions and turn those over to somebody else. But to be successful, here's what I would do. If I was getting into a process like this, I would take my time. Use the entire process to go through in order to gather the information. Think in terms of complements, meaning what are the complementary skills that you have that you could add to the team? If I already have somebody, Kara, who does some of these things, right, with the social media. We had Stacy before. We did other tactics and some things that, were very expensive to us every week because they required some of a resource's time, a videographer's time, a lot of loading, all this other stuff. We've gotten more effective at it, but you have to understand, well, what team is in place? What skills do they have? Could we reallocate some of those resources, right? Could we find less expensive resources? Do I have skills that you don't have? Do I have skills that while you might have, you need more of? So take the entire recruitment process to be evaluating this. Don't jump the gun too early to start crafting the personnel solution. Use working sessions. Actually have dialogue, whiteboard stuff with the employer, with the interviewers, with the hiring official, or whoever it is, to think about how you can solve it. It's a great way to see what they would be like to work with, and it's a great way for you to show what you would be like working with. Okay, and focus on their goals. Don't focus on the job description. The job description should be a function of the goals you want to attain. If you do all this, you'll be in great shape when it comes time to what? List out the job description, write all the goals, write the objectives, write the function, all that other good stuff. But this bonus tip, this will really cap it off and make it much easier for you to not only get hired, but get paid more. Because number one, now the reason I didn't like newly created positions as an executive recruiter was because unless we did this step, I didn't think those positions would be successful. You've now had an entire recruitment process or interviewing process to actually ascertain what areas am I going to address, or are we going to address as a unit specifically. What are the goals? What are our actual goals? Andy, you would like to grow your community. That is not a goal. Okay, growing my community is not a goal. Okay, growing my community by X number of people with increased engagement and support by X percent. That means watching email traffic. It means watching comments and engagement back and forth on our platforms and so on. What are the goals? What are the deliverables? What do I have to produce for you? Is it a marketing strategy? Is it a marketing audit? Right? Is it a blueprint of all the tools and processes you need? Right? What's the value? Andy, how many people are on your email list? Get the number. Andy, what percentage of those people buy something from you? 3%. Okay, for every 100 people, if every 100 people I get you, 3 more should what? Turn into a customer. What's your lifetime value of a customer? $500. Okay, so for every 100 people that I could increase that come into your community, that should be $1,500 or whatever the number is, 15,000, 150,000, whatever it is. These are metrics that I should have that you should ask me for, because then they're going to show some real tangible benefits, right? There is no value in I'm going to increase your community. I'm going to increase your marketing. I'm going to increase. There is nothing. I don't understand that. I think in terms of numbers, bodies, dollars, cents, costs, savings, and this and that. Try to, as much as possible, get tangible and intangible benefits. What are the priorities? Andy, what's the first thing you want me to do? Audit, not strategy. Audit first. Figure out current state. Strategy second. Blueprint third. Carryouts fourth. Personnel fifth. And so on, right? Target dates of everything. If you are in my job search coaching program, I give you a whole session on how to do this. And why is this so important? It's multifold. Two things. Number one, you have clarity with the employer, exactly what is expected of you. What's one of my favorite questions I want you to ask them? What would success look like in a year? This is what success looks like in a year. Do we agree? Yes. Here's what I'm going to do. Great. Here's you, Mr. Employer, what you're going to bring to the table, what you're going to provide, when we're going to have checkpoints, how we're going to evaluate. Awesome. Guess what else? Now let's talk money, right? Now let's negotiate. How much, Andy, is that worth for you? This is great. If you could get me 100,000 more people, I know if my historical 8-year track record is any indication, and it should be, right? I should know exactly how much money that should translate to. Now I have a number to wrap my mind around. I understand it doesn't happen immediately. I'm investing. I'm pulling money out of my pocket to hire you. I'm okay with that. You, in turn, are going to help me achieve these deliverables, these goals, or whatever it is. And even if you can't get the exact numbers, get me to imagine what that might be worth to me if you increased my traffic by so much. This works on any scale. I gave you a small example. It works for multi-million dollars, billion dollars. It doesn't make any difference. The formula, the schematic, the approach works. So when you get in these situations, first thing, just to recap this, make sure you button your lips, clamp it down. All right, do not open your mouth, because you will have plenty of time if you ascertain these things, the goals, the challenges, the problems, and so on. Because when you get to what functions I need to address and what I've already tried, considered, or you're asking questions in a consultative manner to sell yourself, you're going to be able to show me, Andy, here's how we solve that. Tell me how you solve the problem. I will deduce what skill sets you have. If you can do that, you must know this. That's how you sell your skills, and that's how you sell your value. So then you want to get into, and if you don't have experience with something that I might need, start talking to me about rationale. You're smart. Tell me what your rationale is and why you think it might work. It might open my eyes to something we should try. Just make sure you're thinking in terms of compliments. Make sure that you are then thoughtfully writing out what it is that you'll be doing, how it is you'll be approaching it, what other resources might need to be involved, or what other resources might need to be pulled from other areas. Give yourself the entire recruitment process to do it, and make sure whatever you're doing, for those of you that are in the boot camp, you know I call this the grid, but those of you that are not, make sure you're listing out certain things that will help you have communicate and have clarity on what's expected of you, what the employer is committing to, meaning resources and time and effort and those kind of things. This is what will make you successful. This is how you bring structure out of thin air. So when you go in not knowing, you're able to put a formula. You're able to put a formula around it. All right. I hope that helps you. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, smash the like button. Please share this. Please share this. People need help. This is hard stuff. This is tough stuff. Who enjoyed that? Give me a hey in the chat. If you're here with me live, we are going to the chat. If you're watching this on the recording, I'll see you next week.